Judy just learned that song for us here today. It's the first time she's sung it. Isn't it beautiful? Thank you. Okay. So, as Jeff kicked us off, this month we're looking at this idea of what if. Isn't that great? And I have to tell you, I love that idea of what if, unless I really hate that idea of what if. Because, you know, this week I kind of had one of those what if moments, right? Have you ever had one of those? Like, what if this isn't going to work? Right? Like, what if I get it wrong? And more importantly, what if everybody notices, right? What if? You know, that mind is a creative thing. I think it was Mark Twain who said something to the effect of, you know, I've had a lot of trouble in my life, and some of it actually happened, right? One of those things. It's true. So what if? Opens us up to wonder, and opens us up to imagination, and opens us up to the power that we have within us, because we can create castles in the sky, and we can create horror movies in our minds, right? It's all up to us. And so this month is all about reclaiming our imagination and reclaiming our higher knowing and our highest good, and stepping out fully present in that idea of what if. So we're going to ask a set of questions today. What if it all works out? What if it's all unfolding just as it's supposed to? Right time, right fashion? What if what I consistently think about, supported by my words and my actions and my deeds and my beliefs and my feelings, what if that is actually outpicturing in my life right now? And what if the secret to manifesting anything and everything, including peace and love and joy, what if that did not depend on anything out there, it only depended on in here? What if? So here's the interesting thing about those what if questions. In this philosophy, our answer to all of those is yes, right? Yes. We have all that it takes to get a yes to all of our what ifs. Even to those we don't know the answer to, because we always know, if we get clear enough. You see, it's a yes to the fact that our consciousness matters. What we think matters most to ourselves. It doesn't really matter that much to the person next to us, the one that doesn't agree with us, all of that. What we think matters to us. Our consciousness matters most to us. Because what we believe does shape our lives. It shapes our opinions. It shapes how we perceive things, how we label them, how we value them. In our book discussion, A Happy Pocket Full of Money this week, he opens up this book saying, and nothing has value until we give value to it. Nothing. So when we consciously place our attention to what we know is our truth, when we focus more on our truth, and we put our energy there, and we put our attention there, and we put our love and our self-care there, then we start to attract what we want. That outpictured world, it starts to be full of love and peace and joy. And when that happens, we start attracting people who also want love and peace and joy. They want more of what we have. Not because we're right or righteous, but because we're grounded. Because we're grounded within our own goodness. So last week, Reverend Joanne kicked us off by reminding us about how powerful imagination is. How it opens us up to a greater idea. And when we share that imagination, like she did with her siblings growing up, it's amazing what fun you can have playing in an attic, right? It's about opening ourselves up and then sharing that that what if. You know, children tend to forget that imagination is foolish, right? And Reverend Joanne reminded us, it's not foolish. It is the beginning. It is just the beginning of a creative participation in this thing called life. And sometimes that world of what if, it can be really overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be. Sometimes what if, and the answers that come back, that is just the first step of getting clarity of what we really want, who we really want to be, right? This teaching sometimes gets a bad rap because it's all about getting stuff, right? When you take an introduction class to this philosophy, you know, you're told, okay, we're going to treat for the right parking space. I have a minister friend in California. She has never, ever had a bad parking space since she got into this teaching. Even when she goes to India, they find like places to park right in front of where she's supposed to be. It's like just now in her DNA because she kept practicing getting the right parking space. But see, here's the thing. We tell people, we ask people to think about, you know, treat knowing that that parking space is already yours because none of us have any bad mojo around getting a good parking space, right? Anybody here feel guilty when they get that really prime spot? No, none of us do. But sometimes when we feel really secure in who we are and whose we are, when we feel really solid in our relationship to life, when we feel valued and worthy and enough of all of it, sometimes some of us feel a little guilty about that. We think we don't necessarily deserve that. And this teaching is all about the fact that we deserve it all. We deserve as much love and peace and joy and abundance, however we want it to express in our lives. We deserve it, and it is ours by divine birthright. And I know we have all experienced that manifestation. Who amongst us has not had a vision that just felt so right that we could trust it? We didn't even question it. But somehow, we just trusted it, we let it go, and the right person, or the right situation, or the right place, or the right something. It could be so much the right something as it's just a billboard. It's something that just like, that's it, I got it. In ways that we could have never predicted, it works itself out. So think about that as imagination, that creative energy, backed by, supported by, and implemented through faith, a strong faith. And it is that strong faith that allows the doors to open. And then when that door opens, we get to ask that question. Is it the right door? Is it my door? Or is it just like a trick, right? Because if all we have is imagination and what if and all of these signs, if we don't stop for a moment and seek guidance within, we don't stop and say, okay, I need some additional clarity around this, then it may not be the right door. But all of us in this philosophy, we know it's time to take a pause every now and then and just remind ourselves who we are. Take a break before we rush through. You know, it's about knowing that this desire, this thing, this what if that I'm desiring, it's about coming to it not from a place of comparison, but from a place of calling. It's about making sure and about knowing and asking the question, is this door opening out of my ego, right? Or out of my soul, of who I am? Is this something that is going to expand my joy, my love? Or is this something that is just going to allow me to perform, to like be on center stage? Not that any of that is wrong, right? Sometimes we need to do things out of ego. Sometimes we need to do something that doesn't necessarily align with our soul. But it's about doing it consciously. So, I believe that in order to travel into this world wisely, we must have an idea of three things. A true desire, our uniqueness, because yes, we're one, but we're that individualized expression of it. And we need to come to it from a place of calm, that inner peace. So, a reminder that I remind myself often is that faith is not frenzy. Faith has a quietness to it, a softness to it, like a warm blanket. And desire is not something I need to frantically accomplish. Desire is something that I get to embody. I get to live from that place of knowing that as my truth and knowing that it will continue to unfold itself just like it's supposed to. And when I take a moment and embrace my oneness with all of it, I get to see my uniqueness. And I get to take a breath and know how awesome that is. When there is some clarity, some uniqueness, and some calm in one's life, then purpose just sort of naturally flows right through us. Because we're not out there seeking. We're in our stillness just knowing. And see, this is important not just for our personal lives. I believe this is important for the planet, for the consciousness of mankind, for that cosmic soup. Because I also believe we're all here by choice. We kind of decided this was our time to suit up and show up. I believe that. And I believe that every time we say yes to a calling from that place of peace, knowing whose and whose we are providing a little bit more security into that cosmic soup. Every time we move from a place of clarity instead of frantic need, we're being more coherent with the one. And we're adding that. And every time we decide to be calm and stand in our truth and just let all of that crazy chaos do whatever it is doing, what are we bringing to the greater good of the world? We're bringing that calmness, that steadfastness. I really, truly believe that. Ernest Holmes says, "You are already a spiritual being. The mind understands this and embodies its essence, that you are in the invisible and will become more apparent in the visible as you court it." I think. Yes. I guess right. Okay. Love it when that works. Yeah, so when we just allow ourselves to be in that place of knowing, the invisible can become visible. The imagination we can actually experience. And that inner calm of ours goes out and brings calm to those around us. Because whatever we give out, it comes back, pressed down, multiplied, running over. And that is everything. So what if we stopped rushing around and we just took a pause? The book we read about fear, Dennis Merritt Jones's book, he talks about that as a practice. Just take a pause. Before you react, take a pause. Nobody has to know you're taking a pause. Yeah, that's why they invented public restrooms. You can just take a break, take a pause, right? See, instead of rushing to the next door, no matter how good it looks, what if we took a pause? What if we just allowed our desire to clarify itself a little bit more? We allowed our uniqueness to say, hey, I'm here, and you are so special. And what if we let that calm and not the noise move us? So let's break it down a little bit on both a collective and an individual level, because there's nothing that we do individually that does not impact the collective. See, the desire I'm talking about is not the desire of the ego. It's not the desire based on comparison. It's not the they have it and I really want it because they seem so happy with it. It's not any of that. Because I can tell you, those kinds of ego-based desires, not only are they hard to get, they're even harder to keep hold of because they're not ours. Lord knows in my corporate career, I did a lot of those. And I'm also not talking about the kind of desire that culture hands down to us, the would've, could've, should'ves. This is what success looks like. This is what love feels like. This is. No. Because when we chase those rabbit holes, we don't get to keep them either. Because they're not ours, they're somebody else's. And they're not very satisfying either when we get them. They may satisfy our spouse or our parents. Lord knows I've done enough to satisfy my parents that was not that much fun. Because when I got it, it wasn't that much fun, nor could I keep it. True desire is what belongs from our heart, is what goes out and makes us feel alive. It makes us happy. It makes us feel challenged, and yet so at peace and at ease. Because here's the thing. When we take our own desire and we start working on it, then we bring our value up. And at that place of feeling valued, of knowing that we're enough, we don't have to play small anymore. And none of us are here to play small. If we thought so, we wouldn't be in this community. We would not be in this teaching, because there's nothing in this teaching that says yes to being small. So join me in the following statement. I am meant to be fully here, and I have much to offer. Go for it. It meant to be, oh, wait. You got to go the other way. There. Now you can read it with me. Ready? Okay, here we go. I am meant to be fully, and I have much to offer. And that's the truth, period. Full stop. End of sentence. You know, I think about Maya Angelou. You know, we've all read her work or heard her. And she comes from such a place of honor of self. But she was silent for years. For years she was silent. She had this divine impulse, but she didn't feel worthy of being able to fulfill it. Her personal healing that she went through and she wrote about, it has been wonderful for all of us. It has spoken to all of us at one level or another. But to think that this woman was willing to be silenced, and the much strength and the power and the courage, no, not really, the faith that she had to speak forward. That's what matters. Howard Thurman wrote, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Do it. I'm sure all of us have a few things on our bucket list that we're ready to go do. We're just waiting for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I know there's some things I want to do that I'm waiting on, and I have no good reason why I should be waiting. It has nothing to do with time or money or opportunity. It has nothing to do with any of that. I'm just sitting on it. Until now, I wants to stay. So, join me in this question. If my longing is holy, what am I asking now? If my longing is holy, what am I asking now? What is it asking? It's asking us to take a step, to take action. It's asking me to book an airline ticket. It's not that hard. That first step, that first little micro step, is not that hard. Which takes us to this idea of unity without uniformity, because we're all one. And we all have some shared principles, no matter who we are, right? There's some dignity, there's some safety, there's some fairness, there's some respect. We all want that. We all deserve that. But yet, amongst that, there's our own uniqueness about how we go about doing it and how we can shape the world through our own ways. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, one of my favorite guys, during the segregation era, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a black police officer. Can't remember the guy's name. I should have looked it up, but I didn't. Black police officer. And he invites him to sit on the front stoop with him and put his feet in a little pod, a swimming pool thing, to cool off. That was so sweet and thoughtful, right? As a kid, that's what I thought. Oh, how wonderful. How kind. I'm not so sure my mom thought it was so cool, though, right? I mean, not so cool back then. And maybe it's not so cool some places now. But my point here is that quiet acts of inclusiveness, quiet acts of shared dignity and respect can make a huge impact. And we don't know whose lives they're all impacting. We don't. And when I was watching that show, I couldn't tell you I was still going to remember it. Oh, but I did. It's not about demanding sameness. It's about demanding uniqueness and appreciating that uniqueness. Because when we decide to include others that are unlike us, when we decide that we get to see the world maybe through their eyes a little bit or understand a little bit, we do take on a certain amount of oneness. And in that oneness, there's a shared respect. There's a shared miracle. Because division, just like manifestation, division never begins out there. It always begins in here. It's about a shared mental atmosphere towards humanity. And when we get to that place, then our desires get to be really, really fun. Desmond Tutu. My humanity is bound up in yours, and we can only be human together. Only together. My life can be as great as possible. I could have everything I've ever desired right here and right now. But you all get to come with me, right? So it's about all of us having all of that. Seems so simple, doesn't it? Okay. So we know that our desires have to be ours. And we know that we have to live, move, and breathe in this humanity that we're co-creating The third point I want to make today is that we can change the climate of all of that by being calm on the inside, by being gentle with ourselves, by being respectful of ourselves, by valuing ourselves, by recognizing that our self-talk shapes us and those around us, that we can choose to have a climate that we're living in that expands, makes us ask more questions, be more in the point of wonderment, allows us to be more curious about what you think, what you believe, why. Not from a place of judgment, from a place of, I just want to be an expanded individual. I want to know more about the world, which means I want to know more about you. And I want to do it from a place of having my own boundaries, not necessarily buying in, but just understanding. That's it, just understanding. Nakta Kung, peace is every step. Not someday, but now. You know, Minnesota's sort of like, we've set an example. But people are doing this everywhere. Because what matters more, I believe, than what we have is who we are. And how we allow ourselves to become fully actualized. That we step out of criticism and rage and all of that and crazy stuff. And we step back into strengthening our own resolve so that we can bring that to the collective field, to that cosmic soup. That idea of hope and compassion and understanding and wonderment. When we do something that's good for our soul, we're doing something good for all souls. And like water drops on a rock, we may not see the impact right away, but it happens. We're all shared in this mental atmosphere, but we're individual thinkers into it. We are spiritual beings, all of us, getting along in this humanity. So, what if desire isn't a distraction, but it's our way of bringing what is ours to give to the world, to the world? And what if, in that place of unity, we don't demand sameness, but we honor the uniqueness of all? And what if we really, really, really knew that our creative intelligence is what's creating our world? And that as we allow that pattern to expand, we're allowing that to expand to all, to that place of love and peace and joy. What if? See, the world cannot move in consciousness until we move in consciousness, until we elevate us. When we make that shift, the field shifts. And we know that. We've all gone through periods of our life where we're just like on top of the world. And as Fancy Ray would say, we're on top of the world. And everyone in the world kind of gels to that in our world. We've all experienced that. We've all experienced a healing that is so profound that it heals others. We've all experienced wins as individuals and wins as teams. Because that's how powerful we are. Anthony's got something to share with you. This is your assignment this week, because I do assignments every week. I don't know if anybody does them. I do them. So anyway, have you guys ever done a finger labyrinth? I didn't when I lived in California, but now that I live in the Midwest, I kind of know them well. Okay, so here's the idea, right? A labyrinth, they've been around for centuries, and they're a way for us, for an individual to get calm and to just, so the idea of a labyrinth is that you set it in, you walk into it, just being willing to release whatever you need to release. And you greet people along the path. You sit in the middle for a few and you take it all in, you just sort of breathe in the goodness. And then as you walk out, you just listen. Just listen some more. So here's your assignment. Now, I like to do it with a colored pencil, but you can use your finger. It's not a big deal. But as you travel in, ask the question, what? What am I to release? What is mine to let go of right now? Because we all have stuff to get let go of, but it's not always the right time. So what is mine now to let go of? When you get to the center, you take a breath. Just pause. And then as your finger works its way out, as it works its way out, what is my holy longing asking me to do now? You can make it as slow or as fast as you want. But do it. Put your hand on your heart. Heart. I am meant to be here fully.
I am meant to be here fully.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Full stop. See, let's take time this week. And there's more of these if you want a few more to share. But let's take time this week and just be with ourselves. Let us not court that presence. Let's put that presence to work. Releasing. Taking on what's next. The release comes first. And then the wonder. The wonder comes after. That's the truth. So it is.